Welcome everybody to another Let's Play, and I must caveat this particular Let's Play with the fact that this is a post-commentary. That's right, I am not playing this at the same time I'm commentating. The reason why is at the time of this particular recording, I was sick. Like, I could not talk, I could not speak, I was feeling kinda crappy at the time for the first half of the game, but I didn't really want to slow down. I kinda wanted to continue recording. So I just did it off camera and just recorded the actual gameplay. So here I am coming back to it and pretty much commentating it after the fact. But trust me, there'll be plenty for me to talk about as I watch this with you and commentate as I watch the gameplay that I created several weeks ago. So first and foremost, yes, I'm using the GameCube version of the game, the Anniversary Collection, which is kind of a rare thing these days. I think it was part of a contest or some sort of thing we had to go enter in to get a special edition from Nintendo Power or something. I forgot the whole process of actually getting this particular version of the game, but here you go, GameCube version. Now, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time holds a very special place in my heart because, yeah, sure, I played the first Zelda, kind of played the second and beat it, played Link to the Past a dozen times, but it wasn't until Ocarina of Time that I truly became a Zelda fan. The entry foray into the 3D realm for Zelda was the one that really sealed the deal for me with my Zelda fandom. I mean, it was not until this game where I was like, yep, I know it now. I am a Zelda fan. This game cemented that for me. So definitely a landmark, groundbreaking game. I mean, by today's standards, it hasn't aged very well, as you can see by the graphics, but the gameplay is solid. And the overall scope of the game for the time was quite expansive. So, my parents got me this particular game about, oh gosh, how long was it ago? I don't even remember. it was during Christmas, I know that, it was Christmas. And they got me this along with Nintendo 64, and along with one other game, Rogue Squadron, Star Wars Rogue Squadron, I think it was. I actually played this game more often than Rogue Squadron. This was the Christmas game for me that year. So, as always, I'm naming myself Matthew. Yay! 3-heart minimalist, no potion run. Let's do this! So, of course, the new groundbreaking game starts off with narration on a dark screen. Go figure. Now, this is what I thought was interesting. The game actually starts you off on a top-down view, because up to this point, up into the 3D transition, all Zelda games were more or less top-down. There was a couple little instances of side view in the Game Boy game of Link's Awakening, but for the most part, oh yeah, and Zelda 2, forgot that, but for the most part it was just top-down. And that's kind of interesting how the first controllable portion of the game, the first room that is, happens to be top-down, just to kind of get you oriented with the controls. Now, obviously we have a nice little interesting dream sequence. At the time it showed off the awesome power of the Nintendo 64. I thought this was amazing, this was epic! I mean, in many cases it still is, but looking back on it, this is definitely funny. Ah, yes. Here comes the bearer of 1,000 memes, Navi. For the longest time, I couldn't figure out what the heck is behind Navi. It actually is the Deku Tree's nose with his mustache. I think like the first 2 or 3 times I played this game, I could not figure out the background behind Navi. I was just like, what the heck is behind her? No, it's the Deku Tree. Yeah, I wasn't too quick to pick up on that one. My tremendous powers, that's nothing. I mean, you're a tree, you're rooted to the spot. How much power can you actually have? I don't know. Never really go into too much detail on what all the Deku Tree can do. Nay, the world! Old-fashioned speak. I thought this was a little bit cool, if not somewhat disorienting. at the time, but you are in the perspective of Navi. Looking around for is pretty much, it gives a whole overview of the Kokiri Forest. So you kind of get a brief glimpse of all the playground you'll be, you know, exploring, trying to figure out the 3D game controls. I like that little detail. She hit herself on the fence. I'm surprised they actually made a home all to Link. So it begins. The infinite hello, hey, listen, hey, 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 shut up! So the first thing she does is insult him. That gives him pure incentive to actually wake up for you. I thought it was so cute that he was actually a little boy in this one, because all the other games it seemed like he was an adult. But in this one, no, he starts off as a little boy. Also, we have some color-coded wording, so you know what's really important in each sentence. So as stated before, you actually start off in top-down view. So you only have one plane of axis to work with here. And that actually, I think over there in the upper right is a stat counter, like how many kills you've made, how many deaths you've had, so on and so forth. But now you get into 3D control proper, and now got to figure out the whole camera. The camera system in this game was rough. There's a lot of times the camera just does not work for you and screws you over in some instances. But then again, this was the first 3D Zelda, so they had a lot of bugs and kinks to work out with the 3D camera. And this is Soraya, one of Link's only true friends in the Kokiri. I mean, for such a small role she plays in the game, she has developed quite a large fan base. I can tell you that right now. Because if you count out the minutes that she actually takes part in this whole game, it probably is within less than 5 minutes, guaranteed. And one thing I did like was you can automatically jump. That actually eliminated a jump button altogether, which was a smart move for this type of gameplay. So you just walk to the edge and Link automatically does a standard jump. So that was a very smart move on the developers to just ignore jumping altogether and just let the game handle it for you. Now this may seem kind of arbitrary that the game designers are just like, no, you can't go without a sword and shield, so you need to go buy a sword and shield. Well, it's actually part of a tutorial here. To access both sword and shield, you're going to have to explore, use running, walking, rolling, crawling, slicing up bushes once you get the sword, picking up stones and rocks and throwing them. You're going to have to use the whole gamut of all of your basic control actions and functions to get enough money to buy the shield and to find the sword. So this arbitrary reason for you to get what is it? Both the sword and the shield just to get to the first dungeon. It's a subtle way of getting the player to get used to the controls. This whole Kokiri area is like your initial playground. This is your training ground. This is where you have to make all the mistakes, because the dungeon, although easy, is gonna kill you if you haven't mastered the basic, fundamentals of movement with Link and how to use the camera. I mean, in the Kokiri Forest, this is literally your biggest danger, this huge rolling rock. I mean, that thing is like deadly, evolved like a quarter heart. So you really have to get hit, 12 times to get killed by that thing. So even though it is the most dangerous thing in Kokiri Forest, it is probably the least dangerous thing you'll encounter in this game. Now, I don't understand why the Kokiri even need a sword. I guess it's just a gameplay mechanic, but just given who the Kokiri are as a folk, a people, a small little culture, if you will, just hidden within the forest. Yeah, and here's all the menus. We gotta equip it, because the sword isn't useful on its own. You gotta actually equip it on Link. That was actually an interesting addition to the gameplay. Because in past games, Link is already pre-equipped sword. I forgot what I was talking about before. Oh yeah, the Kokiri sword. So it just, based on who they are as a people, or as a little child community, I just don't see them having a need for a sword. Come on. Oh yeah, you can cut signs. And I think, what is it? I think it's either Zelda's Lullaby or something? Well, one of the songs, or is it the Song of Storms? One of the Ocarina songs actually puts the signs you've cut down back together. And here was me trying to figure out how to get 40. I think it was 40 rubies to buy the shield from the shop. And so I was literally turning over every stone in hopes that I would actually get some more money. And this was the RNG gods hating me this particular time. I mean, the Let's Play curse strikes again. And no, you can't pick up the rock that Kokiri is humping or something. Yep, see? Because he's the one who's working on that rock. Well, Link's picking it up like it's no big thing, and this one Kokiri's like, oh gosh, this one rock is so heavy, and Link's like, yeah, whatever, I'm just throwing all these other rocks. I'm super strong. Oh yeah, this bridge up here. Let me tell you about that. This was actually my first foray into playing 3D games. And trying to walk across this bridge, and then the following one to get at these 5 rubies, oh my gosh, that took forever. I kept falling off, I kept getting back up and then falling back off again. I could not get the camera to go right. It was absolutely awful. I think it took me the better part of an hour to finally get those 5 rubies and get good at walking across narrow path bridges over yawning chasms. I mean, all this stuff is right here in the tutorial area of the Kokiri Forest. So, I mean, that whole bridge section is perfect for aligning camera angles. So the developers actually put in a lot of stuff in the Kokiri Village that you would have to utilize later on through the game. So that's smart design right there. So here's me trying in vain to find enough money for the shield and not finding enough at all. I think I recall there was one last rock over here, and I was hoping against hopes that it would provide some coins, but just enough to be of 40 rubies. So yeah, I didn't quite remember. I mean, I haven't played a lot of these games. I haven't played for 5+ years, 5 to 8+ years. It's been a long time since I've played a lot of these games. So here was me trying to remember where all the ruby locations were. Oh yeah, they even teach you how to look at faraway objects by talking to someone on top of the shop. So all the fundamentals are there. Everything's there for you to learn how to control Link in this game. So yep, it was 40 rubies. I went in to check. Now here's something that actually helped me out, and will help others if you can't find 40 rubies on your first pass through Kokiri Forest. As you enter and exit the shop, all these rubies, the 5 rubies, at least the hidden ones that go over those jumps there, will respawn for you. And I think the one on top of those 2 bridges will also respawn. So that should push you over 40. Now, he sells arrows, which I don't know why you would as a kid, that you can't use them. But what we're here for is the Deku Shield, which at some point is going to be burned along the way when I encounter fire-based enemies. It's almost inevitability. It's a sure thing. It's going to get burned at some point. I don't know if it was this game. I think it was Twilight Princess, where the first wooden shield you get in the game has a different design than the wooden shield you get later on. And I've always wanted to just, every time I play that game, to keep the original design so I don't have to buy another one later on, and then it changes to a design which is less, I wouldn't say appealing, but stylish. And now that you have the arbitrary plot devices, you can now proceed onward to the actual first dungeon of the game. And by now, you should have been well equipped to control Link. And here's our first encounter with enemies. They don't exactly attack themselves. In fact, you only get hurt if you run into them. So this is your first chance at Z targeting and using your sword. And of course they drop items, the Deku Stick, which will come in handy in the first dungeon. So it's almost of a way of giving the player the tools or items they need if they, for some strange reason, can't find them in the dungeon or just skip them altogether. So they give you 3 Deku Sticks right up front. So we'll just put these to one of the 3 C buttons. So if Mido was controlling the access point to the Deku Tree, how many times has Link actually in the tree himself throughout his young life? Probably not at all. Maybe once, twice, I don't even know. So this could actually be kind of unnerving to Link if this is really truly the first time in recent memory that he's actually seen the Deku Tree. And it's talking to him! Verily, thou hast felt it. Oh, this old speak, it's great. He's the only character in this game that talks like that. Well, what about Power? Power is part of the Wisdom and Courage trio. If you say no, or any selection to the contrary to what a character asks you, they will eventually force you to say yes and repeat the question. So there is no choice in this game. I don't think there's any choice in any Zelda game. You're gonna have to say everything in the affirmative. So, in you go into the mouth. I don't know about you, but I'd be kind of freaked out going into a tree saying, "It'll be fine, go inside and break my curse." I was like, are you gonna eat me? At this point, my wife was just saying, nope, nope, there's spider cobwebs. Not doing this. My wife don't like spiders. So here's the beginning of the first dungeon. So yeah, obviously I did a quick save here, but we will see all the trials and tribulations I had when I first played this game so long ago on Christmas Day. So I'm looking forward to sharing with you my experiences. Until the next video, see y'all later.